Hello and welcome to the Sound and Scope live, live from Manchester Towers, not Deansgate Towers. Geez, that would be a very different show. But yeah, Sound and Scope Live, the show that covers indie filmmaking, fandom, pop culture, and everything in between, and pretty much anything we want to talk about, really. So not so long ago, I made quite a nice video all about this reboot Doctor Who, because Doctor Who now is in this most tumultuous stage that it's been in for quite a long while. And as we know, Doctor Who is not returning at Christmas 2026. It is being put out to tender. It's effectively been cancelled, and Russell T Davies completely forgot to write the script, bless him. So now that we've got a bit of time before we see Doctor Who on our screens, I think the right question is to be asked is it time to reboot it? Is it time to reboot it? As I said, I made this video not so long ago and got quite a lot of hate actually from the Whovian community, from the Doctor Who fans. So I thought I'd bring some other people on to share in my pain or suffering. That's even if they agree with me or not. Who knows? So first of all, I would like to bring on, he is a series editor. He is an award-winning podcast producer. It is, again, Dan McLaughlin. Dan, you all right, lad? How's it going?
I love that we are basically cannon fodder for you, mate, or friendly fire. I'm not sure what's the right phrase.
Yeah, so in the past week, I think I've accidentally offended every fandom going. I think I put a video out saying I think The Last Jedi is the best Star Wars film since the originals, and got absolutely roasted. So that's Doctor Who fans and Star Wars fans I've ticked off. So I thought,
I have to say, I agree with that opinion.
Oh, there we go. Star Wars fans, if you're watching, please give Dan some abuse instead of me. That would actually be quite nice at this point. So, Dan, good week. Spider-Man's out today. Are you excited to see Spider-Man?
Mainly because I have a huge crush on Tom Holland, but other than that, I've got a bit of superhero fatigue. I will watch it, but it's sort of okay, yeah, sure, grand. I'll just have to watch it because for the sake of it. But yeah, give it a go.
Okay, so yeah, I haven't seen Odyssey yet. I've asked everyone. I want to do a show about the Odyssey, but no one can see it because it's consistently sold out.
I just don't have time.
No one has the time. So, in that note, I'm going to bring on Mr. David Millen. David Millen, how are you?
Hello.
He's like a chimney. Jeez, it's like Thomas. It's like Thomas the Tank Engine around you. Jeez, go on.
Absolutely. I've got Ringo Starr narrating my life behind me. Good evening. How are you? Very good. Yeah. How are you? Yes, you've roped me into this minefield. I like it.
Yeah. Trying my best to kind of just pass the buck a little bit off to me, but this is where we see that no one actually agrees with me, and I'm on my own at this point. I know Paul Mars agrees with me, so I know Paul Mars. So, have you managed to see the Odyssey yet, David? I'll keep asking until everyone says yes.
I was going to see it the weekend, but I couldn't get a ticket. And my good lady's back from lots of work Friday, so I've kind of at the moment said, look, we can either go and see the Odyssey or Toy Story 5, and I'm going to let her decide. So I've because every time I choose a film, she goes, I hate it when you choose films. So they tend to be not the best. But I do intend to go and see the Odyssey. I really do. I think it'll be on till August next year. I think.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
So, but I'm with Dan when it comes to superhero films. I'm a little superheroed out, I'm afraid.
But I know one guy who's definitely not superheroed out, and his name is Mr. Brandon McCaffrey.
Hello.
Happy Spider-Man Day to you, sir.
Happy Spider-Man Day. I have not been to see it yet. I'm hopefully going to see it either tomorrow or Friday.
Yeah, I think I'm planning to go see it Sunday, but I haven't told the missus yet. So it's the first time finding out, because she currently is on the stream. She's saying hello, and this is the first time finding out that we're going to go watch Spider-Man on the weekend. Bless her. I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, should be good. Are you looking forward to Spider-Man? The reviews coming in so far are pretty good.
I mean, 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. You heard from me last week, I'm actually not. I'm actually couldn't care less about this one.
Oh no,
because it's just Spider-Man's so rich with history and comic book like brilliance, and considering we're meant to be doing Neogenic Nightmare, they're probably not going to do it as terrifyingly as it could be, like the '90s series did. or the fact that we just have to shove in every other Marvel character going. Like, let the man have his time. He's good at what he does. We don't need somebody else jumping in.
No, not at all. So we'll cover superheroes a little bit towards the end when we get on the Comic-Con stuff, because San Diego Comic-Con was at the weekend, which was fun. It looked fun. Ryan Reynolds turned up, but we are here to talk about none other than this little cliffhanger that is looking likely that is never going to be resolved. So yeah, is it time to reboot Doctor Who? Just one word answer for now before we have a deep dive in. I'll start with you, Dan. Is it time? And I mean a hard reboot. I'm not talking this 2005 soft stuff. I'm like, let's start again from scratch. What do you think? Yes or no?
No. I'm all for a soft reboot.
Okay. David, yes or no? Hard reboot, yes or no?
No.
Oh no, I'm going to be the only one. Yeah, I'm not passing the buck, Mr. McCaffrey.
I don't mind a semi, but no.
It's 7:30, and we're already talking about semi.
Semi-hard,
Yeah,
semi-soft. If you see what I mean.
Okay, Mr. McCaffrey, Mr. Big Finish, Mr. Big Finish himself.
Obviously, I'm going to say no. I love the rich history of this show, and I like it to continue.
I think we should all just give it up. I think it's just been an absolute joy to the world.
Why do you think that we need to give it up?
I don't know. But to be fair, all of you are on the same page as Mr. Stephen Moffat, who recently spoke to the Radio Times and said a hard reboot would be a bad idea. But what does he know about Doctor Who? He's only wrote a bit of it. Doesn't mean he's the voice of it. Bless him. He's a bit of everywhere recently, isn't he? He's doing the Hooniverse shows in the Radio Times. He's doing every podcast ever. It's a bit mad considering you'd think even Chibnall has probably done more press to do with Doctor Who than Russell T Davies right now, which is a bit mad. So yeah, so you're all in agreement. No Doctor Who, no hard reboot. So this podcast is going to be me trying to convince you all. Then yes, let's reboot it.
You could call it a trial of a Time Lord.
Hey, go on. And hello to everyone in the chat as well. Funky says at our age a semi is something. And hello to the Zero Room as well. So, first of all, before soft or hard reboots, let's talk about what problem are we actually solving. I pretty much we know what problem we're solving, but what do you think a soft or hard reboot would actually solve in the current situation, the current age of Doctor Who, where we are right now after 20 years? Dan, I'm going to throw this one to you.
It's a tricky one because we've ended up in a sort of, as you were showing a picture of Billy there, we've ended up in too many strings, too many threads, too many stories to try and resolve. And I think that's a problem in itself, is there's that we've went too much of a mythology that it's just getting confusing, getting all packed. And I think we just need to, I agree we need to do a reboot of sorts, but it probably needs to be a soft reboot. We need to make it less complicated and return it back to that principle of Wacky Time Lord turns up as an adventure, there's some monsters, and maybe refer to the history somewhat, but not as many references. And for what that cliffhanger at the end there with Billy Piper, either just completely ignore it, or if let Big Finish, the brilliant people of Big Finish, come up with something, because I can't come up about that.
So, Brandon, is this fundamentally a writing problem, a production problem? Because I enjoyed series 40. I enjoyed the Jodie run now. I enjoyed the Jodie run. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's good now. But do you think this whole thing I'm about now, is it fundamentally a writing problem, a production problem, a scheduling problem? What do you think is currently the problem with Doctor Who at its current day and age?
Well, I'd say one of the big problems that we've obviously had when it came up to the Christmas special was probably a lot of scheduling problems, realistically. And also the idea that, this whole Billy thing wasn't meant to be a big thing. I mean, it was meant to be, from what I could tell and from what I've heard from certain people, it was meant to be something to keep Disney on board, something that would make them grasp onto it again and go, yes, actually, no, we do want to keep with this. We are excited about it. And obviously that didn't happen. it was something she even admitted to just doing as a favor for a friend. And I think when you're coming to making decisions of one of the biggest shows in the world, you can't just be basing it off doing a favor for a friend and getting your mate to help you out. I think there was a lot of tidbits and a lot of issues that were over the last 2 seasons, chucking in villains that had appeared once and twice in the classic era and never really been mentioned in the new era, and then making them watch their episodes on TV, which was a moment.
Don't get me wrong, I'm so happy to see Giant Dog Sutek back. And like I always said, like the Omega skull should have just be Peter Davison's skull.
I had a whole idea for how that should have looked, and it should have been a whole moment. That door should have opened, and you could still do the big bone baby thing. That's fine. But what should have happened just before it came out, you should have seen Omega's helmet come skidding across the floor, and we all go, "Oh no!" Then the bone baby thing came out. We don't know what it is. He fights it off, pushes it back, and then when they get back there, just before the world resets, the mask is gone, and you're just like, Omega's out there somewhere. And I think that would have been enough to keep people excited.
Well, the Ronnie's out there, as we know, because of the 2 Ronnies joke. So that's okay. We got it. Have you seen Paul Miles has done how he would have done Doctor Who? And he did a full breakdown of the 16. It was good, man. It was good. I would have watched that. I would have watched that. So yeah, look in then, David. So do you think fans are too quick to declare that Doctor Who is dying or it's over? Just if they don't like the current one, because I said, like, I've gone back and I was probably one of the naysayers during Jodie's run. Probably less so during Ncuti run, if I'm being honest. But now I've gone back and revisited. I'm like, right, okay, this is actually pretty decent. Yeah, but now the current climate around the run is coming to an end. Do you think, fans are a bit too quick to declare that Doctor Who is dead? It's just if they don't like it.
Oh, absolutely, they are so too quick. It's the problem is with us older fans, or us more seasoned fans, shall we say, is that we each have our own emotional attachment to the program, and we each have the moment where we fell in love with the program, whether it be through fear, whether it be through hiding behind a cushion, running out of the room when they had the theme music, and we've each got this rose-tinted view of the program, and nothing can interfere with that. So when we see things, when we view the program as we all do through those rose-tinted spectacles, we go, well, it's not as good as the Merker, is it? It's not as good as,
because that was so
it's
good.
not as good as, but this is not a patch on the Borad. This is, that's high quality acting there. What a wonderful set.
Oh, you leave them alone.
I mean, Time and the Rani, what a masterpiece. So we see things through our younger eyes. We romanticize. So unfortunately, when we get to see Doctor Who that doesn't fit up to our expectations, we go, well, that's a load of shite, isn't it? And we then sort of we watch it emotionally, rather than what I think you've done, Luke, is watch it objectively. Okay. So, but I think that during Stephen Moffat's term, and even during the Tennant era, the storytelling became a little bit repetitive. The format, what I mean by that, the format became a little bit repetitive. Certainly in Matt Smith's time with Clara, in the last, when Clara joined him permanently, it became, boffin, flirty, Clara. Clara calls me an idiot, flirty, bit of action, and wham, bam, that's it. Aren't you great, Doctor? Yes, I am. Mwah. And that was a sort of repetitive nature of it, and I found that tiresome. I think with your initial question to everybody else, it's a mishmash of everything that got to. I think there was a lot of hubris about. I think there was a lot of taking the audience for advantage. I think it was, hey, yeah, this is a winning formula, so let's stick to the formula. rather than looking at it like Chris Chibnall initially did, which was, that is the formula. How can I subvert the formula and bring a little bit back about who is this person? Ultimately, he did The Timeless Child, which blew the lid off that question and kind of upset quite a lot of people, because it's Doctor Who. It's meant to be, who is this person? We are not meant to see. We are not meant to know. We can ask a little bit of a teaser, but we never get the answer. This was giving us the answer, which we should never, ever, ever have. So, in essence, they are to blame, but we are also to blame for. And I'm not saying you shouldn't become emotionally attached to it, but should say it's like those moments whereby you get an email or a letter, if in case you still get letters, and it makes you very emotional. Write the email out, write the reply out, walk away from it, and then come back to it the next day and hopefully say, thank God I didn't send that. Look at it again objectively. And I feel that's what a lot of Doctor Who fandom, which is a part of society now, there's an immediacy to get an opinion out. There's that immediacy. I understand that there's an immediacy to get the opinion out, but just stop, think about it, and watch it again after you've had a night's sleep, had a cup of tea, probably feel different that day, and try and watch it through somebody else's eyes that isn't emotionally invested in the program.
My argument, David, is that if Doctor Who fans and all fans of Doctor Who have written Doctor Who, obviously Russell T Davies, Christian Chibnall, Stephen Moffat, whatever, but if the average fan were to write Doctor Who, it would be terrible. That's why most fan fiction of Doctor Who is absolutely awful. Some, obviously, exclusions, Luke, before you say
I was going to say hooligans is not fan fiction, but I'm just happy that you have offended every fan filmmaker going now. So I'm glad.
I have done some audio dramas for fan stuff when we were in lockdown, because it was just a group of mates getting together, and I'll admit some of those storylines are better than we've had in the last 2 years, but that's because some of the writers are genuinely really good writers.
Yeah, shout out Queer Doctor as well, James.
It was like it's a banging series. I'd happily hold my hands up and say if it was bad. I'm like, nah, it's actually, I've listened to it and went, even though I'm in this is quite good.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So go into the live chat then. So we got Funky says he feels the chance for a hard reboot has passed. Either the 90s build-up to a McGann movie or 2005 were the best chances for that. I think the 90s one could have been a nice place to do it. I think the first, because we've rewatched it now, the Steelbook is out and it is very glorious, but the first 20-30 minutes is pure lore and exposition dump on with Sylvester McCoy. I think they should have just started straight away with McGann. I know you're introducing the concept of regeneration and the Master and the squeaky Daleks, bless him. But I think that we should have just come straight in with McGann. Brandon, do you agree with this?
Slightly, yeah. I think back then that would have been easier. I mean, obviously that's what it sort of was meant to sort of go with the whole American version of it that we never got in an alternate universe that exists. I'd love to see it. But yeah, I mean, I think 2005 actually pulled it off quite well with it didn't really go in on things. You go, we don't have the Masters turn up till series 3. You have a Dalek turn up and you sort of just get, okay, so this is one of your old people. This is someone you used to be an enemy with. And I think that's something that 2005 did really well. But now we look at where we're at with it and we're just bringing back villains for the sake of bringing back villains these days. When was the last time you seen an actual Cyberman story that was about the Cybermen not just being used by the Master?
True. Also, justice for the Tetraps.
Yes.
What I'll say, Brandon, what 2005 did well, I think one of the scenes that did it really well was in Dalek, but it's where Eccleston sees Cyberman's helmet in Van Statten's museum bit. And it's more of a nod, no wink, rather than looking to the camera. And I think nods to the previous decades, whatever, work quite well, but rather than the full-blown thing, I think that's where the soft reboot could work, where you have the nods to it.
I think it's very much a show built on legacy and the lore of it all, and it's got so much rich history to it. To take that away and then reboot it, you know, this isn't DC doing absolute Batman. This is us using something that's got such a rich history that you once you go in on that mark and reboot it, where does that kind of stop? Because when do you then bring in the villains back again? But even though they're not the same villains as you originally had, I think it's quite jarring when we already have a show that's about regeneration and you can change the actor with it and you can already technically do exactly that story without having to actually reboot it.
Fair. So before we get, I'm destroying my vape as well, David. So before we get into the reboot argument, even though we're kind of in it, I just want to have a little look back at this little fella's era, because it does get quite a bit of flack, and I think some of it is unwarranted. I don't know if you agree with me, guys. So what's your opinions on 15's era at a whole? Because essentially it's a not complete era. David, I'm throwing this to you.
Right. I like the Church on Ruby Road. I'll start at the beginning and end at the end, and I'll whistle through it. I liked that. Didn't like the Goblin song. I'm not a big fan of Music and Doctor. I know you danced to it in a nightclub, Luke.
We did. It was fantastic.
I know you loved it. I know it charted. I know it on the downloads chart. I know it was that. That aside, I thought the story was good. Okay, I thought it was a strong start. Then there was the babies in space and the bogey monster.
Yeah, I can't defend that.
Then there was the lost chord. Music again. Sorry. Now, I'm not against music in Doctor Who, as in incidental music. I am against.
One minute here. Sorry.
I am against.
Devil. The Angel Bids the Devil and Me.
Oh, Daleks in Manhattan. That's so good.
No, I don't like contemporary music in Doctor Who. Okay, I've always said this.
I was hoping for that to be a musical episode.
And Luke can back me up, because I think I even said once that I didn't even like, Britney Spears in it, and also the Scissor Sisters in Harold Saxon. I'm sorry, but I'm just old fashioned with respect to my Doctor Who. I don't think, because I think it dates it.
I get what you mean. Yeah, I get what you mean.
I think it dates it, and whereas the incidental music doesn't date it. So that's my point. I don't think Doctor Who should be dated unless they're in a specific time. But for me, my favorite episode was 73 Yards in the first series. I liked that, and I didn't mind that there wasn't an explanation. Okay, because I think that sometimes stories, people want explanations all the time, just like they want the villain to have their comeuppance every time. But like in It's a Wonderful Life, the evil bank manager doesn't get their comeuppance. And I think that movie is fantastic because he doesn't get a comeuppance for being so horrible to George. So that sets it aside everything else. The first part of Scooby-Doo on the TARDIS, I thought was excellent. And I thought it continued to be excellent until we saw Scooby-Doo on a chain going backwards through the vortex. And I was sort of like, seriously? And also the fact that Ruby, the thing about so special about Ruby is that she's not special. I mean, come on, this girl can make it snow when she gets upset. Come on, no, she's are you going to basically say that she's just, a friend of Michael Fish's, or John Kettler's, that she can make it snow? Second season, I thought it started okay. The messaging was increasingly obvious, and I felt like I was being lectured to on a sort of 5-minute basis. Belinda, I loved. I thought this character is amazing. She's got kick-ass. She reminds me of Tegan. She is 100% a great character. That didn't end well, did it?
No, they put her in a box. They just shoved her in a box.
I know. The Christmas, the best thing about the Christmas episode in between, by the way, sorry, I missed it. I forgot to say this, was Anita, who was a result of a budget cut.
Yeah,
and this comes back to a point that I'm going to make later. So she's a result of a budget cut, just like the Weeping Angels were the result of a budget cut. So the best things in Doctor Who happen because of a budget cut. So I quite liked Joy to the World because it was a pretty standard Christmas episode. Okay, I quite liked it. As we go through the series, I thought Lucky Day was good on first viewing. I really enjoyed that. Slight issue with respect to how the conspirators knew what the monsters looked like when they didn't know what there was absolutely no way they could know what the monsters looked like. Slight issue with that, but I liked the concept of story and the engine, but I felt it was too rushed. And this is what I'm coming to. The second season had enough ideas in them to be developed into something more. Yet I felt that we were being rushed through the stories so quickly that nothing made sense. The Eurovision thing, I didn't like at all for the torture scene. I was not happy about that at all because our hero shouldn't torture people and then be told he's magnificent from his companion and given a hug for torturing something which is completely out of character with the character. It would be as if the Sixth Doctor had physically pushed the two guards into the acid pit in Vengeance on Varys rather than using the door to protect himself. So he didn't actually physically push them in there, but it felt for me that the Doctor shouldn't protect your own life, but don't torture somebody. Okay.
Yeah.
The same comes with Alan in the Robot Revolution. The Doctor shouldn't be happy that somebody has died, even if they're a complete bastard. Okay.
Before the watershed, so we'll apologise.
Sorry, but no, the
EastEnders
EastEnders gets away with that term, and it has done since 1985. So
we're in Manchester, right? We're coming up to 1980. Yeah, we got the king in the north. We got number 10 north now.
But that's my thing. He tried to save Davros. He tried to save the Master. He tried to save all these really nasty, pasty people, and there he is laughing at the demise of Alan and torturing somebody. And as for the reality war, it was never resolved why the TARDIS doors blew off at the end of the Eurovision song contest.
Never
okay. It was particularly triggering to see Mel put out her rubbish bin the wrong way round, because the wheelie bin is the wrong way round, because you leave it the other way round for the bin collectors to collect it that way to make it easier to hook on people. So there was a lack of research there. It's just a little joke. But
I hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
I hope they did. It's just slightly OCD. But it just ruined Belinda's story by having this strong, independent woman who was a professional, and it was just sort of like, what excuse do I have to give for her to get her home? Yeah, make her a mum. And she's got a baby, which when we see Belinda in that first episode, there is absolutely, that is not her path. She's single, she's driven, she's professional minded. I need to get home. I want to get home because I don't want to be with you. I don't want to be here. And then that narrative is, and it was, this whole of season 2 was built around Get Me Home. And that narrative for me was just usurped in the most doesn't matter sort of way. And it left me feeling for Ncuti, you poor git, you didn't really get much of a chance here. The first season you were here, we sort of booked you too early, but because, and you were too busy doing, you're seeing out your contract on Sex Education Series 4, so we can't really feature you as much in your second year. Well, we can't really guarantee what's going to happen next, so we're going to have to write you out in the most convoluted, confusing way as possible.
Yeah, I think that's a blunder on production's part. That obviously, shows do overrun. Like it happens, shows go over schedule. So the fact that they kind of had Ncuti for like 1 or 2 days to shoot, I think, what was it? They shot Dot and Bubble, the boat scenes. That was his first stuff to
show as well.
That was his. Imagine being your first stuff on Doctor Who to shoot, and it's the ending of Dot and Bubble. That's rough. Like that's hard. That's a hard shoot. But surely, like you would have known in advance, or you would have had an inkling that, like, right, okay, he's probably going to go a month over. So you be prepared to be like, well, we can either push it a month, because at that time, when they were shooting it in 2000, and I was going to say 2002 then. They weren't shooting in 2002 unless they had the TARDIS, but they're shooting in 2022. So they had enough time to be like, oh, well, we just push the schedule back. It's not out yet anyway. The 60th has still got like 18 months to come. So I think that's a massive mistake on the production's half. So, Dan, what, in your opinion, is the strongest thing that the 15th Doctor's era give us as a whole? If it's nothing, is nothing, that's fine. But I think it's give us a fresh outlook on the Doctor myself. But
look,
in your opinion,
I quite like Ncuti's performance. I'm one of those, yes, perhaps a little bit too much crying, but that's maybe direction and writing problems. But I liked it when they tried to push it a bit. So like David, I really enjoyed 73 Yards. I thought it was a cracking episode, really good concept. I really liked the Well, so the sequel to Midnight, Boom. I quite liked those concepts where you're pushing it a bit. And this is where I agree with you, Luke, because I've got a better appreciation of Chibnall's era, because he was trying to do something a bit different. So where I think the 15th Doctor's era works is when they try to do something a little different. And then obviously you get Big Space Dog and Big Space Babies. That goes too far. But I like the concept episodes. That feels like they're trying to test the boundaries of Doctor Who a bit. And then it just gets a bit calamitous in the season finales.
Yeah. So, Brandon, is there any point during 15's run where you were just thinking Ncuti's performance feels stronger than actually the material he's been given right now?
Probably my favorite scene that he actually has in it, when it's not Dot and Bubble, it's the scene in Lucky Day where
in the TARDIS.
In the TARDIS, I think that's his strongest scene he has of the entire era, because that is the moment where I watched and went, "That's the Doctor." Because I know David has just said something about the character of the Doctor, and I completely disagree. The Doctor is not a hero. The Doctor is just a person who's trying to do better every time, and unfortunately that doesn't always go the way they want to. They have to do bad things, and they have a lot of blood in their hands. And I think when you have those moments like the torture moment, I actually really liked the torture moment, because it shows how far the Doctor is still a person at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if they're not human or not, but they're still a person and they can be pushed. And if you push that character to the end, we've seen it with David Tennant in The Runaway Bride. He was going to kill the Rachnos until he stopped. We see this character pushed to those brinks so many times. And I think that's that sad part of the character, is that they get pushed to the brink so many times. And, we hit Capaldi's end when he wanted to commit suicide. He didn't want to regenerate. He was sick of it all. He was like, why? Why do I have to keep going while everyone else gets to just keep putting me down again and again and again? And I think the character really breaks my heart for that. But that moment, you've seen the fury of the Time Lord, the anger of him. You got to stand there and do that speech towards, I forget his name now.
Conrad.
It's Conrad, but I can't remember the actor's name is what I was thinking of.
It's just Conrad. Just Conrad.
I think that's a really, really beautiful thing. And in fact, a really greatly written speech. But then again, I think my favorite bits of Ncuti's era are any episodes not written by Russell. And fun enough, episodes 4, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are actually my faves of season 2.
Yeah.
Brandon, can I just come back on you on that point, if
Go
I
on.
may, please? Fair enough. Okay, I'll give you that one. However, he didn't get any redress.
Oh no,
for
I
doing
agree
that.
with that. Trust me. I'm not disagreeing with that point at all. Oh no, I think he should have gone to hug her and she went, "Don't touch me." That's exactly
Yeah.
what happened there. So I completely agree with you on that. I was just meaning as in like we're seeing our hero tortured, and I'm like, yeah, because he's not a good man. Unfortunately, well, obviously that was Capaldi's whole thing was, am I a good man? And unfortunately, I don't think he is. I think
So
he just
Moffat just did interview when he was talking about Russell, and he said Russell keeps writing him like never cruel or cowardly, and he said like the Doctor is very cruel and cowardly a lot of the time, and Russell keeps getting. And I was surprised to see Stevens talk so candidly about
I
his
think
writing.
that's something Stephen did well with him, though. You look at Good Man Goes to War, and you look at Capaldi. He showed the fury of the Time Lord, the last of his species, that anger and that fire within him. I'm like, yeah, Matt Smith, for being the youngest actor to have played the role at the time, my God, did he bring it in A Good Man Goes to War?
Yeah, he was brilliant. I love A Good Man Goes to War. It was brilliant. I was at a barbecue when that was on, and I kind of found out beforehand that who River was, and so I was kind of like, right, okay, I know this. So going back to series season 1 and 2, not series 1 and 2, we would go back to 2005 otherwise. So the Disney obviously pumped a lot of money in, allegedly, Your Honor. It's a Back to Band 4 drama. It was over 7.4 million an episode. We know that. How much we don't actually know. We could never comment. So do you think that the producers in the program succeeded in making Doctor Who feel visually larger and more ambitious than it was previously in the Disney era? Because I know they closed it off quite a lot. A lot of it, considering how much money they had, it was just more studio builds. Dan, what's your opinions on this?
I think Doctor Who works better when it's backed into a corner.
Yeah.
Doctor Who works better without the big Disneyfication and the big budgets. And yes, it did become it became a studio show again, arguably, but a studio with too much CGI and too much glam sets. Yes, the production values arguably went up, but I think the Chibnall era looks better in terms of how it's filmed.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Looks like Hollywood style. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So here's a curveball then. So I see RTD2, try saying that when you're drunk, RTD2 as more of a successor to Capaldi's era, where Jodie's era does feel like a reboot. It does feel like that. Right, okay, cool. It's back to basics, Doctor Who, new TARDIS, season 1, series 13, so 12, whatever one it is, 11. One day we'll get there. It had that. It was just like the classic. It was just 4 people traveling in a TARDIS. No coherent storyline. I just absolutely. Chibnall's in Manchester on Sunday as well, signing his book if anyone's there. But it just felt back to basics Doctor Who, and it felt like too much of a departure from what come before. Whereas Ncuti feels like it follows directly on from Capaldi, but this whole Chibnall era just feels out of whack because it does look, and the budget for this was a lot less, like a lot less than what the Disney money was spending, and we had more episodes and they had a longer runtime. I completely agree. And my light has just gone off, so I'm now going to present this in the dark. Ooh la la. We're now on Sound and Scope after dark, ladies and gentlemen.
Hours.
We are past 9 o'clock now. Well,
are we past 9 o'clock?
No, we're not.
No, we're not. We're not.
After dark.
So I'm presenting this in the dark. So, yeah. Apart from that, we knew it was more studio bound and less locations. But did you feel there was a real creative identity to this era, Brandon? I'm gonna throw that to you while I try and put my light back on.
To the era of Jodie's or to this one?
No, to Ncuti's. Let's go Ncuti's. Do you think there was actually a creative identity to good old Ncuti Gatwa's era?
Yes and no. I mean, I for the storylines I was actually hoping for. I mean, it was nice to see Unit in more used capacity, I guess. They were more involved with Ncuti's era, more so than we've seen in others, especially after, we've kind of lost Kate for most of Jodie's era, apart from her endings. So I think, it was nice to see that kind of involvement again. But, we all had our theories when it came to this series, especially his first season. The song inside Ruby's heart sounded very much like a certain Trickster's theme, and then wasn't used at
you
all.
love the Trickster.
I do, and I will fight for that character to the ends of the earth. But that's because I think he's a very brilliant character, not created by a very brilliant man, but a very brilliant character. And it would have been fantastic to have seen the god of traps go up against the god of death and then bring everyone back to life and then suddenly go, they'll all die by my hand when I say so. And he's trying to take the abilities of each of the gods. And that would have been our storyline throughout season 2. But I think, again, it was a production thing. We lost Ruby, and clearly there were elements of that stayed in Reality War. Hence, with the baby was meant to clearly be related to her and have that more of a connection, but it didn't. So I think behind the scenes made it lose its identity. I think not keeping it in-house and pushing for it out there with big companies. And I think it's that tragic thing of, too many cooks just spoiled broth.
Well, there was only one cook by the looks of it. So, unfortunately. But I think you could tell he was more studio bound. I think they had the more money. It's like Chibnall's era was off filming in South Africa, Tenerife. They were jet setting, and Chibnall's era looked money. This one just looks like it was just filmed in a backlot in Badwolf. And for all intents and purposes, it was. But if you got that much money, and also the reduced episode count as well. David, do you think the reduced episode count damaged like the Doctor and companion relationship for this era? Because we don't spend a lot of, like, Rose had two seasons, Martha had 13 episodes, Donna's had 25 now, Clara is never leaving. So do you think 8 episodes is enough to establish a Doctor companion episode? So we're upset when Ruby says I love you and he ignores her and kind of pies her off.
No, I don't. If you look at how many episodes did Sophie Aldred get, she had essentially 32 episodes of 25 minutes, which is 16 episodes along the 45-minute thing. And Sophie Aldred, and the thing is, you need that development of a character alongside the relationship with the Doctor and how it ultimately changes them or affects them as an individual. It allows the growth of the character. Also, it allows the main character to grow or change as alongside them. And with 8 episodes, some of which were Dr. Light, in the first season, it doesn't allow for that relationship, friendship to develop. And essentially, we're asked to invest in somebody that we don't know enough about, of which their story is over far too soon. And in some cases, they are relegated to just get me home. And is that all you're doing on this episode? Well, I'm going to wander through a street looking lost, looking for you. Right, and that's your contribution to this episode, or this is what we're getting you to do in this episode. So I feel that it is not long enough, and it doesn't give us the opportunity to get to know somebody and to actually build an emotional connection as to their fate, ultimately what happens to them. It all feels very rushed, and you're sort of left feeling at the end of it, well, who exactly are you? Should I actually... I found myself asking the question, do I actually care what happens to you? And that's a horrible question to have to ask. But the whole point of having people in a continuing drama is that we're meant to sort of start to identify to their motives, identify with where the character is going. We're meant to empathize with them. We're meant to feel their journey. We're meant to, cry with their sadness and even sometimes happiness, and cheer with their happiness, or their standing up to the Doctor moment, or the villain moment, or something like that. And the way that we were rushed through these episodes, that I feel that bond was missing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. So I also think, so I covered it in my old Reboot video. I think this era was one of the biggest missteps because it had the chance to do a soft reboot of the 2005 style, potentially hard, really, because he's a brand new man, he's a brand new Doctor. He's split off from our original Doctor, the one we've been following since 1963, all the way up to 25 David, all the way up from David
Tennant. Was that there long?
David Tennant will never leave. You'll be wheeling him out on the 100th anniversary for a 4 Doctor special, and he'll play them all.
You're gonna do this to your 90.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think this was a misstep by Russell the Davis, where this was a perfect opportunity to do a proper soft reboot and relaunch, as it kind of was marketed as, because our Doctor, the original Doctor, to me, is now retired, and Ncuti is Doctor number 1 again of a new line. I By Generation is a very sore subject to a lot of fans, but I generally think it was a good thing to kind of put to bed the Time War, the Timeless Child, everything. You can be like, right, okay, cool. We're kind of forgetting of it. And then season 1 and 2, well, I suppose season 1, we had the 2 most lore-heavy 2 seasons humanly possible, where Russell, back in 2005 to 9, he was very restrained with what he was saying. Like, it took him two series to even mention Gallifrey, and that was in a Christmas special. But all the monsters as well, the Daleks, you didn't have to know the Daleks. Okay, the Daleks are in the public zeitgeist, but you didn't have to know the Daleks to know what a Dalek was. You already, it was explained. Time War, off screen, monster. The Cybermen were hard rebooted from a parallel universe, and they were the Cybermen. Yeah. The Sontarans kind of got brought in through UNIT. They were fine. The Master, you knew he was the other Time Lord and evil, so it was fine. So all the villains he kind of brought in. He kind of hard rebooted them, and he treated it as this really, really weird bubble where, the law was there, but he's never touching it really. But then this one, he's like, he saw what Moffat and Chibnall were doing, and he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna have a good old go at this. And it just went Pete Tong. It's like the Rani, for example, was, I think we've just seen her now talking at a convention, being like, Russell was just like, oh, we think you're going to be this. We think so. It seemed very quite clear that maybe it wasn't a plan for her to be the Rani, essentially. But I think continuity now has become possibly a barrier to new fans, because we've seen the ratings has dipped now, probably the lowest that it's ever been. So yeah, I think, Dan, I'm going to ask you, do you think Doctor Who now is genuinely difficult for new viewers, and do only existing fans consume it?
I think there's a danger of Doctor Who becoming like a Peter Kay stand-up gig, where it's just 2 hours of him going, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Do you remember this? Back in this day, it becomes a bit of a nostalgia fest. It's the point I was making before. I think the nostalgia can work as Easter eggs, and maybe, the Daleks and Cybermen, I think, will always be part of Doctor Who, but the other things can be little Easter eggs, little winks, rather than sort of bringing back the full thing. I can't put myself into a place of a young person. Would a young person really start in Ncuti's era, and just what would that, they need someone either there to explain it alongside them. They can't really go into it that fresh, because it's just clunky, full of, it's self-referential, and I think it'd be really tricky for the new viewer. Like, we all of us, I think, will watch Doctor Who through thick and thin. We probably listen to the big finishes, etc. We're already converted. We're there to the bitter end, basically. But what about the new viewer? And I think they would find it very difficult to engage with it without someone like us. You need the new viewer without the baggage.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I think that's where stuff like the 2005 revival. Like, it was essentially this soft reboot where you didn't have to know the Doctor. We meet Time Lords, Daleks, Gallifrey. We didn't know anything. You could come in fresh. A viewer that was watching 2005's Doctor Who, sat down to watch Rose, didn't have to know who William Hartnell was, or Patrick Troughton, or Sylvester McCoy, or the Mara, or the Mercer, or they were just there on the ride, and they're in straight with Christopher Eccleston. So, Brandon, do you think the 2005 revival proves that you can kind of respect continuity without a show requiring you to actually do the homework?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I am one of those kids who watched it in 2005. You know, my first episode was The Long Game, of all things. But, you know, I got to grips with it fairly quickly. I'd seen sort of towards the end of it on TV, and then got the first season on DVD, and I didn't even get like the box set. I got those singular little colored DVDs they released first. And I had 3 episodes per disc back in the day. But that you still got to grips with it, and you still understood everything about this world. And if someone's going to be a fan of something, and we have all that lore there, people are going to search it out. I wanted to know everything I could about this thing because I thought it was interesting. I didn't watch Classic Who properly, I think, until the year of the specials, I would say. So around 2009.
Really?
Yeah, well, because to me, this was what I had, and you got to think about it. I was 12, 13, and they weren't very easy to get hold of back then.
How old are you?
I'm born in 1996. I'm 30.
Oh yeah. I was just at your 30th birthday.
He's a young puppy.
I was just at your 30th. Of course I was. I forgot how old you were.
But because I was still quite young at that point, and I did jump in and out sporadically to different classic ones. I mean, I have certain thoughts on other Doctors, as Luke is well aware, but I won't say anything here because I will get sacriléged.
So I'll say it. Brandon doesn't like Tom Baker. So there we go. Brandon.
That's really interesting. That is really interesting. Is it all of Tom Baker or just parts?
I don't think he's a very good Doctor.
That wasn't the answer to my question.
Is
it all of Tom Baker or just some parts?
I don't know. I think it's the only reason I even like any bits of his era at all would be his companions. But I think his companions are the strongest bits of his seasons. He's got incredibly strong women around him at all times.
But if you had to choose a bit that you thought he was at his best, would it be at the start, middle, or end?
I don't know, because I don't know which his best is. Probably more towards the endish. No, when he's with Sarah. When he's with Sarah Jim.
Yeah.
Okay.
When he's with Sarah Jim.
Yeah.
I think once it gets later, he just really doesn't do it for me. It's really weird because as a Big Finish fan, I've listened to nearly all of his series as an audio. I think he's far better. I think he gets the character more. But I know Tom from knowing different bits from actor things. I know Tom as an actor, he's not an easy man to work with. And I know a lot of that eccentricity that people thought he's bringing to the role isn't him bringing it to the role. It's him. It's just him being wacky and weird. And maybe that's from an acting perspective. I'm like, well, then what are you actually bringing to this apart from just playing yourself? And I would like to have seen be a bit more thought behind him of who the Doctor is and who this character is. While when I watch his stuff, he really doesn't do it for me. I think he's very overrated. Meanwhile, I feel like Davison thought about that character a lot, although he wasn't quite often given the scripts. But he knew him inside and out straight afterwards. I think all of them sort of do. Even Hartnell, Hartnell might have been the first and had nothing to base it off. But you watch any Doctor, and Tom, to be fair, has this as well. But you watch any Doctor, and even from Hartnell, they all have that thing. There's a certain Doctor thing they all have, and you can go, there it is, and you just know that's the character.
Don't tell anyone, Brandon. Sorry, Luke, but don't tell anybody. But when Mary Tam left as Romana 1, I thought there was a considerable decline.
Really? I thought it's when he actually started knuckling down a little bit more. Even though he was being a lot more aloof and not giving a damn.
He was knuckling down with Lala Ward, but I think that's a different topic.
Well, yeah.
So go into the live chat now. Funky kind of agrees with you, Brandon, that he didn't like Tom in Pyramids of Mars himself. So there you go. Pyramids Mars is ultimate classic, and we know
It is
that
classic.
we had Scooby Doo
But
back
again,
in the
he
last
just had such
season.
strong women around him. Liz Sladen is still beloved by us all. She was the first celebrity death in my life that really hit me, and to this day still hits. I think I was watching a video of Continuity something the other day, and it was just that bit where she's saying goodbye to him in the TARDIS the first time, and then later on, whenever David Tennant says goodbye, my Sarah J, and I was just like, this still hits hard, man. That woman just has a place in everyone's heart.
So going back to the exposition dumps of Doctor Who now, Funky has brought up another great point, bless him. The opening of the Star Beast was a bad idea, using Tennant and Tate to explain the plot thread to new viewers after 14 years. And from what I understand, Rachel Talalay didn't shoot that bit either. So it's I enjoyed the Star Beast. I thought it was good. But yeah, I don't know. So do you think Doctor Who continuity then is too confusing for new fans to just come on board? David, opening that up to you.
100%. 100%. We must not forget that Ncuti joining as the 15th Doctor was marketed as a huge jumping on point.
Yeah, that's what we were saying.
Okay. Yeah. As you quite rightly mentioned, the 63 to 2021 Doctor or 22 Doctor was gone.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a new beginning, to quote an X Factor's finalist. Was it Joe? I forget his last name. It sang about a new beginning. Okay. This was the new Joe McKelvey. Thank you. This was that moment. Okay. I am completely. Grief doesn't bother me anymore. I'm a changed person. I am free. I am happy. You go off and have therapy, old man. And this is the result of that therapy. Somebody without carefree, happy Skippy. So that's a perfect opportunity to go, right, we can have new adventures. We can meet new baddies. We can meet new villains. And despite the Midnight Entity and the Slitheen, I am not quite sure what baddies Russell T Davies or monsters actually brought about that were new, even in the first time round. So please add if there are more. I believe all the other villains were introduced by other writers. So if it's a new jumping on point, if it's going to be that point, like it's been previously mentioned earlier in the stream about the TV movie, don't just dump a load of exposition in the first bit that you get it. So they didn't. The goblins and the church on Ruby Road. Yeah, okay, this is interesting. Okay, the space babies, for all its fault, had the snot monster and everything like that. Okay, fair enough. The Devil's Cord had a different villain, the Toy Maker's child. Okay, right, Toy Maker? Right, we've just had them, haven't we? Okay, right. Okay, well, what if you've not seen that special, so who's the Toy Maker then? Right, okay. Right, fair enough. That's the first bit of lore. I don't mind that I used to have a granddaughter. Okay, that's just a fact. That is a fact. That is fine. Little reference, no worries. God bless Carol Ann.
You gotta feel
never
sorry
came back.
But then even 73 yards, Dot and Bubble, new villain, fantastic, brilliant, great. But then why bring back Sutek? Why do we have to bring back Sutek? Why can't we bring back somebody else? Why can't we invent something different? Who's this Sutek? Oh, they're on. Oh, that was in. Oh yeah, 50
one
years
episode.
ago. One episode 50 years ago that Last of the Asirans, one of the old Egyptian gods. Right? Okay. Why not make it a Greek god? Why not make it something more that something different, that you don't have to continually reference the past. And then that just, for new people watching, it for me, okay, if the first time I watched Star Trek was sorry, no, I'll rephrase this. If you saw Star Trek The Undiscovered Country, which was the last original Star Trek movie, and they'd introduced a point in the plot whereby you'd had to have watched a search for Spock first, all the new viewers coming to Star Trek 6 were going, what? Spock died, but now he's alive, and this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. Well, what nonsense is this? But they quite cleverly didn't. Okay, yes, they had that little triumvirate of stories in the middle, the trilogy, 2, 3, 4. But it makes no sense at all if you're saying, please join our club. But in order to join our club, you've got to read 60 years worth of stuff that you might not be interested in order to make sense of what we're putting on the screen now. A lot of people would go, no thanks. No,
we still offer it when somebody asks you, where can I start? And you say 2005.
All right. And so how much should a new viewer actually need to understand, do you think, before watching their first episode of Doctor Who? Dan, I'm going to ask you that. How much do you think?
I just want to put just a quick point, is that new Doctor Who can be a good gateway drug to old Doctor Who, as in it can be good to, if you want to find out more. I think it's something you said earlier, Brandon, that you seek out the lore later. In terms of the next question, Luke, what would you ask?
How much should a new viewer need to understand before watching the first episode of Doctor Who?
Nothing. I think there was just some things that people will know. There's probably a blue box that travels through time, and the Doctor changes the face. That's it. Nice. That's all they should need to know.
I think, we're going to go for a slight little 2-minute break now. And when we come back, we're going to be talking soft reboot versus a hard reboot. And then we'll have a little chat, see which one we're more leaning towards, and if I can sway you to my side. So I'd probably not, and I'm going to get massive hate for this. But yeah, let's join the hooligans. Brandon, we don't know the hooligans, do we? And we will see right after this.
No!
You asked for my help.
Yeah, more as a sounding board. Not so you could rewrite the ending and ruin it.
What are you doing dressed like that?
I'm working.
Hiya, fam.
So, you're my replacement. A dandy and a clown.
Dear Auntie Babe, thank you for Doctor Who this year. How about a season 14 marathon? I'm talking Robots of Death, Talons of Wing Chang, Deadly Assassin. Oh, love Gallifreyan stories. Proper classic Who, Tom at his finest.
Doctor Who? Nah, I've not watched since David Tennant.
We open with the TARDIS.
Oi! Stop what you're doing and state your name and planet of origin.
Hi.
Do we know what we're looking for, Doctor? I don't really fancy walking up and down these corridors all day.
Seriously, that was like the worst episode of Doctor Who ever, and I've seen Twin Dilemma.
We were on the verge of discovering something huge there.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for overreacting. I'm sorry for being moody. I'm sorry that I'm no longer fun. I'm sorry I don't like the Rings of Akaten. I haven't eaten, so nothing too strong. Don't want to get drunk.
I really think he might.
Where is he?
Where is he indeed? Let's... Shh.
Dalek!
You will be exterminated! Exterminate!
Okay then. Geronimo!
And that is the Hooligans returning for Christmas 2026. That's the old season one. You can go catch up on the series individually or little 10, 15-minute episodes on YouTube. Or you can go watch Hooligans, The Lost Fandom, the feature film. We are at Cinescope Live, and we are talking about, is it time to reboot Doctor Who? And I would like to welcome back Mr. Dan McGoughlin, David Millen, Mr. the Hooligan himself, Russell. Thank you for Doctor Who.
He was very handsome in that there. That guy in that brown coat.
Thank
I
you for
quite
Doctor
fancied
Who
the one in the ginger wig. You know,
Rob is beautiful. I'll give you it.
The first
Instagram, you know.
The first stuff we shot at Hooligans was Rob in the police outfit in the middle of Manchester, which was quite ironic, shall we say? So we'll talk about hard reboot versus a soft reboot. After the video of me getting so much hate, I think the general consensus is, to a lot of fans, is get rid of Jodie and Ncuti and just wake up with this guy, and he was all just a dream and the Dallas hit. I think that is, I think that's quite ludicrous. If I'm being honest, I think Jodie's good, and Ncuti, you might not like them, but they're still part of the law and the canon. You can probably make a case for retconning Ncuti more than Jodie at this point, but I think that is. We're not. Before anyone, if anyone is here thinking that, I'm not. So I'm going to take that straight off the table. So I'm going to pose three things to you now. So the BBC is putting it up to tender. So there's three options for this. I think you continue normally. You pick up with Billy Piper and you carry on, and then see what happens. Which I don't think they will go for. Or they might. The more the likely one is the 2005 soft reboot format, or someone might be like, you know what, the law is too much. We've had 60 years. This is all confusing. Let's start again. Let's start from scratch. We'll have a new Doctor number 1. Introduce the fans to a brand new universe. So which one of these options does Doctor Who genuinely need at this point? Brandon, what do you think?
Right, yeah. So I can kind of see reasons for all. I think one of the options is something that, as you've just said, starting a new universe, is something we already have. We have never explored realistically, and we don't really know who is the fugitive Doctor, and why can't they be one from another universe? I think that would be perfect for us to have this Gallifrey and this fugitive going around doing mysteries and everything. I think would really, really work. I think that was kind of where I thought the series was actually going to go. I thought Tecteum was going to meet Jodie's Doctor and be like, how are you here? I took the Doctor off the board, and Fugitive would be in a cell. And it would realize she was in this other universe the entire time, and it's not her master. It's this universe's. But hey-ho, that would explain a lot more than we got, but it's fine. And she wouldn't be the Timeless Child. It would be this universe's one is. It's a whole shebang. But I think we have that option is there. When it comes to a hard reboot, I'm gonna have to disagree with you still. I can see your reasonings. I can see it's got very complicated and there's a lot of lore going on. But I think soft is the best way forward. I think coming in with, I think come in with Companion first. Don't even come in with New Doctor. I know we'll talk about this later of what people's ideas of how we could do this if we were doing our own. But I would have the Doctor have a lot of people show up who we would guess to be the Doctor and being very doctory, and I wouldn't reveal who that Doctor is till near the end of the episode. I would let us reintroduce ourselves to who the eyes of the audience is, which is who the Companion's always meant to be. It's meant to be who we are in the situation, and I think that's our best way to go forward as a soft reboot, is to jump us in with who's this person and let them get to grips with the universe before we get to the Doctor. I think Doctor can come. We'll get there. But for now, let's experience it with them for the first time, as if it's the first time for us too.
Nice. So go in. If we did, I'll come back to the soft reboot now. But if whoever won the tender did decide to go for the hard reboot route, Dan, do you think wiping away 60 years of continuity would attract new viewers? Because in the comments they're saying, well, who are you making the show for? But if you wipe away 60 years of continuity and you're starting fresh, then you're appealing more to the broad audience. Or do you just think it's mainly going to anger all the audience that are already there, or do you think all that audience that are already there are just going to watch anyway?
I think it's the case of the audience is going to watch anyway, but you can't cheese them off either. You've got to strike that right balance between the new casual viewer that you want to attract, the younger generation, whilst having the nod and the wink to the older audience, to the established audience, because you still don't want to cheese off the avid fan who's been watching it since, for me, 2005, some people for longer. So you've got to strike the right balance between both of them. And that's why I don't think a hard reboot is the good idea, because you're just going to cheese off everyone before 2026 or whatever. You know, we can't just sort of start from day naught, but I think a soft reboot where you have something of a bit of both, having a bit of both.
So, David, do you think the 2005 reboot was the perfect model for what comes next, whenever that will be, probably 2029, 2030 earliest?
I think it got far more right than it got wrong. And we're talking about 99% right and 1% wrong. Okay, because you can never really give something 100%. Because that's perfection, and perfection doesn't exist. But it was as perfect as it could be. And I've got a sort of sliding scale of lick of paint to complete rebuild. Okay, knock everything down and rebuild it all up. I think where 2005 is a new kitchen and bathroom. Okay, you've ripped out the old kitchen, ripped out the old bathroom, you put a new kitchen in, and you put a new bathroom in, and it's all sort of, hey, yeah, look at my sort of partial DIY sort of restore a couple of rooms, rather than knocking everything down and starting up again from the foundations. I think it needs to be somewhere in the middle, to be blatantly honest. 2005 was that. It goes off the back of Brandon's point, whereby we wake up with the companion. The Doctor is involved, but we don't know who the character is. So I think if I was the tender, what I would do is go to Agatha Christie, who's the greatest writer ever, I believe. That's just my point. And she has, as soon as possible, all the characters available, yet you don't know which one it is until the end, which fits into Brandon's point of view. So you can have that person on screen, you can have them as a character, but the reveal doesn't come until the end, because that allows people to become engaged in the story. Well, who is Doctor Who? You know, because that's what the name of the show is. Who is this person? Who could it be? Could it be them? Could it be them? Could it be them? No, it can't be them. Really? Oh, well, it could be. And all you have to have is a good idea that Brandon's hit on. It doesn't have to be your idea. So the best sort of puzzles and fiction. I mean, Agatha Christie borrowed heavily from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who no doubt borrowed from various other people, various other stories that have existed since the modern era began with the ancient Greeks and the Egyptians. So for me, it needs to be that sort of mystery as to what is this show about, who could this person be, and can we figure out who it is? And why do we want to figure out who it is? It's got to ask questions. It's got to ensnare people into this thing that, who is this mysterious person? Who could it be? You know, what are they doing here? Why are they here? What's their motivation? Why should I bother continue watching this? Well, because I find it interesting and it sort of piqued my curiosity. And I think that is the best way to approach. And I think Russell's 2005 thing as in viewing it through a normal person, and this is something that goes way back to the days of its creation with Sidney Newman and Verity Lambert and what Waris Hussain, is that you need to be able to relate to the other people on the screen because you are almost living this vicariously through them. And they are the audience, and they need to lead as much, if not more, than the main character as well, because that is your hook. That is what gets you in. That's what makes it relevant. So
the Doctor turns up in the middle of the story. The Doctor isn't necessarily the story itself.
Yeah, it's not his.
Correct.
Yeah,
The story is the companions. Like I mentioned, Sophie Aldred earlier as Ace, and we were trying to see it through Belinda and Ruby, but we couldn't quite. And then there is this person who's able to do stuff, who suddenly comes in and goes, down to me again, I suppose. Who is and the thing is, the Doctor should be who's a combination of Hercule Poirot, Sherlock Holmes, Agatha, Miss Marple, Jim Bergerac, if you want.
Nice.
All these leather jacket, all these sorts of these characters who don't come into their own until the synopsis of not the synopsis, but the denouement of the story, and they say, well, they do the big reveal as into how they've solved something or how they're going to solve something, and with the threat that actually bad things could really, really happen if they don't have their that's time to get things sorted. It shouldn't, as Dan quite rightly said, and Brandon alluded to, it shouldn't be the drive of the show from the get-go.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that introduction thing is exactly what we mean. It's more about those other characters. The Doctor just sort of drops into the story, really. But actually, on the thought of that, when you said it, actually, there's something Russell created for this show that has stuck with it since 2005. That is something really, really great, and it's a cold opening. And a cold opening has really helped this show to establish every episode that you go into. Sometimes we don't have an episode with one, and it actually makes us go, "Oh, there was no cold opening." But I think it's a really beautiful concept that he created it's been done in many a TV show, but I mean that he put into the show and is really added to it every single time. As soon as you get that little snippet of maybe 2 to 3 minutes, and it's enough that should be enough to entice you into an episode of Doctor Who. That 2-3 minutes is you selling that episode.
So Felix has made a point as well that the Doctor shouldn't be Space Jesus anymore. I think that was more prevalent, especially in the RTD1 era, especially more in the Voyage of the Damned, with the iconography of going after the heaven, ascending with the angels. I think the Doctor's the most important person in the world now, especially with the Timeless Child. But yeah, Space Jesus is a very strange one.
Last Time Lords as well, Jeekers.
Yeah, I mean Rassilon is still out there. We never knew what happened with Rassilon. He's got kicked off in Hellbent and Heaven Sent, and we haven't heard from him since. So he might just still be kicking around. So we are kind of leaning. Well, you're kind of leaning more towards a soft reboot. I'm still pushing for a hard one. Oh, matron.
Bring back Gallifreyan stories.
Yeah, I like Gallifreyan stories. Oh, but this is just turning into hooligans, isn't it? So talking of soft reboots, then, Brandon, what if it was to be soft rebooted now? What from the last 20 years do you think should remain, and what would you get rid of?
I'd get rid of that police box. It's a waste of time. What do we need it for? I'm kidding. Could you imagine somebody would
angered every Doctor Who fan?
No, obviously it's got to
be
the
that up, Luke, and post it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, I'm no longer getting hate. Brandon already went viral for Spider-Man. You can no problem with this.
Getting rid of those. No, I think obviously police box, blue police box, Doctor, companion, Dalek, Cyberman, Master. Even still, you can keep that there because those are constants, and also the Master is a character that can be changed. It doesn't really matter. And like, I love when anyone sits there and has that whole thing, even that we've had over the recent years, of being like, well, how did he survive this? I went, fun fact, babe, in all of Classic Who, we asked ourselves that question every time. So just let it go. I never question how he survives anything. But I think those need to be our constants. New planets, new sights to see. There are always new wondrous things to be out there. There's always new times to go to. There's so many historical things. One thing I would put into it that we haven't had in a very, very, very long time. I think Black Orchid might have been the last one. Pure historicals. I would bring back a pure historical.
Well, like Rosa.
Rosa wasn't pure historical. Still had.
It's close. And Demons of the Punjab. They
still had aliens. I mean, no aliens, no science, no sci-fi, no aliens.
None.
It's a historical story. Like, I've been rewatching Hartnell with my friend Adam, who had never seen any of Classic Who. We watched Hartnell. He's not his favorite Doctor out of all of them, and he's watched all of the new Doctors. It's really strange, but but one of his favorite things was the pure historicals. That teaching, I think that's something we need to go back to. Is, Doctor Who was meant to teach people different things, and I have learned a hell of a lot in life from watching this show. There are certain facts that I know in the world because of what this show has taught me, and I think that's something we need to bring back. Is let's teach people again. Let's learn about history.
The Aztecs was amazing and still is one of my favorite stories from Bill Hartnell's time. Just simply brilliant. As just to come into the back of
historical. I think that's something we lack. We now have a thing that we've had of the show. We need to inject some form of sci-fi or alien. I'm like, no, actually, the human race is awful, and it can be awful. I think we can show those dark sides. I really like when we see the future of the human race, and it can still be a purely historical. It's just a future historical for the universe, and I think we don't need to go all in on constantly trying to up it. And I agree with the Space Jesus thing, because I think that's something we kind of had a problem with when we hit the Sutek and the Rani stuff. And everything feels so universe ending all the time. And I'm like, what about, like, why Walden Knife and Time works is it's just a ship. It's just a ship with people, and they're possibly going to die. And that's
it's a very small finale compared to what we've had. And considering what it is, it's the master, it's the two masters. But it's just very self-contained. It's
very.
No, I agree. So do you think then the next Doctor we should be like, right, this is Doctor number 16, or just completely forget about it? Because I know fandom now, every fan film they get made, and you've got the XYZ Doctor, this Doctor, this Doctor. Yeah. Is it time to give up on Doctor numbering? Because we've got Fugitive War, 10.5, 11, 12. Like, it's becoming a bit.
I think we'll number it, but I don't think the show needs to. I think the fans will do the numbering for it, but I don't think you need to. I think, they'll announce the Radio Times. We'll give it 8 before we will. But I think you can absolutely bring this character and just go, this is the Doctor. And I think actually this is probably the perfect time to do that moment, because if you don't do the Billy Piper thing, we don't know how many Doctors has been in between. We don't know how later on this is in this character's life. And if we just jump on it and we don't even need to delve into that, I mean, we can way later down the line if you really, really want to. But this is the perfect moment to go, how long's it been? Where are you now? Like, this is the fresh take. I actually, if anything, maybe this is exactly what the show needed, is to give it the chance to break off properly. Because Ncuti isn't the true break. Because you went back and had Russell do it. If you didn't have someone who already knew the show, it might have been able to have that. But because of that, it then lent itself to classic things and bringing all that linking. But now, we ignore the Billy and we go, right, this is guy, this is companion, or a guy, girl, they, them. I really couldn't care less as long as the Doctor's there. Companion, blue box, adventure. Done.
Yeah. So Dan, that first episode of the soft reboot, what do you think it should look like? What would you hope for in this revival era potentially?
If I were showrunner.
No. If you were just watching as a fan and you found out Doctor Who was coming back in 2030 and it's the soft reboot in it, they're like, yeah, we're going to 2005 it up. What do you hope to see when you sit down to watch that first episode of inevitably Series 1 again?
I haven't the foggiest. And its answers on the postcard for this one, because I don't think I'll ever truly be happy when it comes to Doctor Who. I'll always be a critic. I just want maybe simplicity, I think, is what I'm looking for. Is the monster of the week, the adventure of the week, back to the 45-minute serials where everything's self-contained. But I'm looking at it from a 2005 nostalgia thing. So the formula for Doctor Who for me is the 45-minute 2005 version of Doctor Who. And is that a good idea to have in 2026? I'm not entirely sure. I don't want something to be too heavy and lower, but I have a formula of Doctor Who in my head that probably doesn't exist anymore. And I don't know, frankly, which I know is a terrible answer for a Doctor Who podcast. But I wish I had a better answer.
That's fair. That's fair. So, David, do you think we're choosing a soft reboot because it's a safe choice, or do you think a hard reboot would be too frightening to fans to accept?
I think there is room to add a third option. And I was thinking about this when I was writing down something for that hopefully you're going to ask us about later on near the end. I was thinking that in my analogy of either a minor service or a major service or a complete new car, okay, I think we can afford to add a soft reboot, a moderate reboot, or a hard reboot. So I think we don't like in British politics and voting to leave the EU, that was a binary choice. And I don't think we should have a binary choice on this. If I can just throw a spanner in the works in the middle of it, I think a soft reboot, a moderate reboot, or a hard reboot. And if I had those three options, I would boringly, because I am very much sitting on the fence in my life, in generally everything from politics all the way through to sport and Doctor Who, I would go for the moderate reboot because it allows you to keep what you want from the past in a non-confusing way, in a drip, drip, drip way, and also allows you to go forward under the auspices of a new program to make it feel new. So it's the best of both worlds, to put a bit of hyperbole. Hyperbole out there. Both worlds. Yeah, hyperbole. If I was going to put hyperbole out there, I would say it was the best of both worlds, because in it allows you to access what you want to access, to use in a responsible, non-confusing way, whilst also creating something new. So it essentially keeps that access open. I think if you go soft, it's a little bit too half-hearted, and if you go hard, it's the nuclear option. So I think the moderate one is probably the safest and potentially more exciting.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you. So my style. I think it's time. I think this is the perfect jumping on point for anyone. I think Russell messed up the 60th, and that should have been the 2005 style reboot. It wasn't. It was too law heavy, and then he messed with the law even more. I think that as much as I like the Timeless Child and the Cartman Master Plan and all that stuff, I think it's just too much. I think continuity is a bit too much. I think the general public is bored of the show and they're not buying into it. Don't get me wrong. After 20 years, that's still a very, very solid run. But I think now is probably the best time to actually go for that hard relaunch. I think just kept continuity. I'm back on the green screen again. You can tell it's time. There we go. Giving away the illusion. I think now is the perfect time. I think you can, make the Doctor mysterious again. Let's start again from scratch. But if you were going to start again from scratch, and you can see, if anyone wants to see my thoughts as well, you could see them on the video, which is linked in the description. And you can probably just give me loads of abuse for it because everyone else does. Why not? I think I put across a very clear argument where everyone's wrong, just says, forget Jodie and Ncuti, which I completely disagree with. I think it's just time we start again, which I would like to see. But if you were to start again, if you, Brandon, was in the production company, running the production company, and they were like, "Cool, you've won the BBC tender, only on the chance of a hard reboot," what would you do? What would you do? What would be your reboot?
It has to be a hard reboot.
Yeah, it has to be a hard one.
This makes it difficult, because at what point do you just start using stuff from the old show? Do you know what I mean? There's only so much.
But then you can reintroduce it, and you can. Don't get me wrong, I'm not asking you to remake Genesis of the Daleks, so
God for that.
or Earth. Oh yeah, well you hate
4 episodes and not 6.
So the omnibus is great.
I only learned about the omnibus last year. What a life changer!
The omnibus is fantastic.
I've spent years going, "Oh, Genesis is overrated." I don't know what people go on about. It's 6 episodes. It's 2 episodes too long. You know the omnibus. The what?
The clams. The clams aren't in the omnibus, I don't think.
I was more the fact Sarah fell off that tower about 20 minutes in. I went, brilliant. That didn't take me an hour and a half to get to.
I'm back in the room. So yeah, Brandon, if you won the tender and you were to do a hard reboot, what would it look like?
Goodness. Do you know what? Fair. Do you know what I would do? In terms of what it would be. I mean, you've got to have the basics. It's got to have the TARDIS, the Doctor, the Companion.
Yep.
But
you can keep the police box if you want.
That's fine. That's fine. I do what Flux tried to do. I do I think where we are now in terms of, it's just as Dan was saying, you know, we're not really in the 45-minute episodic serial era anymore. Fortunately, we live in binge culture, and people love a story arc. And whether that can be episodic bits with story arc at the end, but if it was me, I'd do a massive sci-fi space opera for a season. I would go along the lines of Big Finish's stuff like Dark Eyes, Doom Coalition, Ravenous, those massive 12 episode. It have to be 12 to 13 episodes. I'd have to go back to that. And I would have some form of lengthening arc with cliffhangers at the end of every episode to make you just go, I need to see what's next. I need to know what happens. And I probably would try and have new villains within it, people who aren't connected to the lore at all. Someone that a new audience could jump onto it. This could be even if you wanted to take it as possible. Obviously, you want more. I would try and make a limited series. I would make something that an audience could sit and watch as a limited series that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if we get another one, then you get another big story. Cool. But you have a full block there that an audience can sit down and watch 12 episodes of and didn't need to know a thing about it beforehand.
Felix says, just get the key to time and fix all the canon with that. Dave, Dan, I'm going to throw the same question to you. But yeah, so go on. If you won the tender tomorrow with I don't know, the MEN, what would you do with it apart from endless videos on Andy Burnham?
All right, mate. All right. Funny that Felix brings up key to time. I'd sort of, and probably echoing a bit of Brandon there, I'd have a key to time-esque adventure where you've got to try and find something. And what I found interesting, I've suddenly become a Chibnall fanboy, and I didn't expect this today.
Yes, come on, join the Chibbers gang.
What I found really interesting at the start of his run is where the TARDIS goes missing, and I would have that over a full season. I would have the Doctor trying to get back to the TARDIS, use that as the sort of hard reboot where they're trying to find this time machine and they end up bouncing between places and times to get to the time machine. And then the series would launch in earnest when the Doctor and the Companion finds it and off they go. So I think like a Where's the TARDIS adventure might be a good way to sort of slightly drip feed bits of it and do the hard reboot.
So, David, finally,
I've got a complete pitch here, Luke.
God, go on, give us your pitch. Go on.
Well,
the tender's not open yet, so
can I go for who I want to play whom and all this, that, and the other?
Absolutely. I'll go for mine as well afterwards.
Okay, right. Okay, Rory Kinnear is the Doctor because he has that.
Yeah, he's good.
Experienced character actor, can play desperate, can play funny, can play the Bank of Dave, can play, although his singing's a bit questionable, but, hopefully we won't have modern singing in Doctor Who. Essentially, he turns up at a police station, lets himself in, and Kip's in the front office. because he's become a tramp. Okay, so it's rough sleeping. The reason for this is that he's completely lost his memory. Something has happened, and he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know why he's there, but he turns up at the police station. The duty sort of detective sergeant, of whom I would have Chantal Jackson, who plays Naomi Jackson. I think it's Naomi, but plays Naomi, who's in Death in Paradise. And she plays the detective sergeant in there. I just think she's a fantastic actress, and she can play fun, she can play serious, and she's got that sort of inquisitive mind. So she gets the phone call to say, you've got to come down, and there's this weird dude down here, doesn't know who he is, doesn't know where he lives, seems a bit mad, bit crazy, bit weird. Come downstairs, and can you deal with him? So she comes down and does an interview with him. So you see another scene of them in the police interview room with her trying to get more information out of him. Meanwhile, as they're trying to put it together, we see a sort of shadowy MI6 sort of figure, akin to the cigarette smoking man in The X-Files, who turns out to be a season-long villain called the Memory Eater. He's a sentient being who goes around trying to steal individuals' memories, particularly those of positions of influence and power. The end of the goal is complete domination over the planet as a sort of mad leader of the new world under their dictatorship. They also feed on the memories as well, and that allows them to gain the more power and more persuasion. So you're also using things like the sort of Saxon mind control that the Master has. So it's not the Master, by the way. It's just this villain that wants to rule the world. We do see the Daleks. Okay. We do see the Daleks. And the interesting thing is it's a squad of time Daleks, if you want, who are looking, and this is where it can start to tie in, if you may, with previous. So you're not abandoning the complete previous 60 years. So they are looking for planets to enslave, occupy, conquer for the future, as you know, so that can reference the Daleks' invasions of Earth, in the fact that they are looking of stuff, prime targets for the future. But the interesting thing is, because the Doctor's lost his memory, he doesn't know who they are, and because he doesn't look like any of the previous Doctors, they don't know who he is. But there's still that sort of, but these are clearly bad dudes, and we must try and do that. So you can have him becoming a sort of advisor to the detective sergeant, because they obviously build a rapport. He's obviously lost, what Dan was saying, he's obviously lost the TARDIS. So there's the quest for the TARDIS. He keeps saying, I must try and find my home. I must try and find my home. The home being the TARDIS. So he can't find that. And then it sort of culminates in the battle at the end of the season with the big minor story. So the universe isn't at peril, but the Doctor's minds and everybody else's minds are at peril. That's the risk, that all the people that in positions of power that could be usurped. That's the thing on the thing. It's people's identity that's on the issue, and what makes them who they are. So that's the battle in which how he gets his memory back. As to how he gets his memory back, that's an issue to do, that final showdown. And I think, in all honesty, what makes that different from anything sort of else is that it allows the Who to be put back into Doctor Who. Who is this guy? We kind of know as older fans who this guy is, but newer viewers would be sort of like, who could this guy be? And it allows us to put the mystery back into the character, because even he doesn't know at that point who on earth he is, even though we might know who he is, which comes back down to Brandon's reveal as to he actually finds out who he is and what he can do right at the end of the series.
I think
And the
Funky's got a good one.
The big question is, will he find out who he is in time? If you know what I mean.
Yes, absolutely. That's very good. But yeah, I think that's, you went in depth. That was very, very. I'd watch that.
Sorry,
I'd watch that. I'd absolutely watch that. No, I like it. I'd watch that. I'd absolutely watch that. I can clip that and just put it out on its own. I think Funky as a new one as well. Chris Marshall, who has never been linked to Doctor Who ever in the history of tabloid journalism, in a linen suit in Cornwall, finally realizes that he's left the TARDIS on a Caribbean island and needs to solve crimes. Someone could say,
I love that even more. Love that too.
He's just death. It's just death in paradise, isn't it? Like, he's just looking for death in paradise. But there you go. So you've each pitched. So open to everyone in the chat. Which one of these three would you trust with Doctor Who next? Would it be David with his full-on, very, very litigious pitch, which I absolutely loved as well, and I would watch that. Dan McLaughlin with the Key to Time rip-off, or Brandon just ripping off Big Finish, Dark Eyes.
No, I said in that style.
In that style, so he says. But we'll see. But yeah, everyone in the chat, please let us know. Which one would you prefer? Who would you trust with it more? David Millen, Dan McLaughlin, or Brandon McCaffrey? I am still of the opinion that it should be hard rebooted. Guys, have you had any more thought? Have I managed to wangle your mind by me saying continuity is too much? Are you still of the mind of a soft reboot? Is that what you want to see come back when it comes back?
Yeah.
I'm fine.
The same but different.
Yeah, fighting an uphill.
Moderate
reboot. So
I will say on the back of David casting Rory Kinnear, I don't want anyone well known playing the Doctor. I want
Ewan Rion. I want Ewan Rion.
I think the role of the Doctor should always make an actor's career. There shouldn't already be an actor big actor when they get it. I admit we've had some big ones take it, but I think it's absolutely the kind of role that should make an actor's career.
I do agree with that, but I think it needs a name. Doesn't have to be a big name.
Is the show not a name in itself?
Just to kickstart it again, because you've got to have a bit of pull, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. See, for Jodie's run, I would have got Tilda Swinton in for like one season, and then went to Jodie. That's where I would have done. I wouldn't have went straight in with Jodie. I would have went, Tilda Swinton's a bit more androgynous. I can't say that word, but it's fine. And it's a stopgap, and then go straight from Tilda Swinton one season, Eccleston, and then you get Jodie, and that's what I would have done. So I could see where I think Doctor Who right now is kind of a damaged brand. I know Sylvester McCoy's doing all he can in Glasgow with every traffic cone ever to try and pull it out with a gutter, bless him. But I think if it's going to come back in 2029, 2030,
I don't know. I just think some things are bigger brand and they don't always need a name. I take the Super Mario movie for one. I think Chris Pratt as Mario just wasn't needed because people were going to go watch it no matter what. It's Super Mario, for feck's sake. And that's not a swear word. And it's after 9. But I think sometimes the brand can carry it itself, and I think sometimes we need to believe in the brand and the story and not need to attach names to it, because that money would be better off being spent on making it the best thing it can be rather than paying money for a big actor. And that's not just because I'm an actor who wants to play the Doctor.
His spotlight is available. First
Northern Irish Doctor, you want it.
We want a Welsh Doctor. We want Ewan Rion. I'm going to go for that. Everyone's fed up.
I think they'll go with Ardal O'Hanlon, to be fair.
Oh, I love him. My hero.
So we've not seen him in years. I'd take that.
He's already had experience with regeneration because he's done it in My Hero. So that's by the by. So yeah, I think you three. I have not won you over. It should come back in 2005. In 2005, sorry, I read one of the comments from Funky. It should come back as a soft reboot. I'm still going to push for a hard reboot. If you disagree with these or you want to see my argument, the video is linked somewhere below in the comments or in the description. Go have a look and please do not give me abuse. I've had enough abuse for the longest time. So yeah, no, thanks for sharing your thoughts, guys. I thought we'd have a bit of companionship on that. But Brandon came out and said he hates Tom Baker. So I think that's the one thing we can take away from this stream.
That's your clip right there.
Brandon said that Tom Baker is evil. That's basically what
he's the
said.
worst Doctor, and Brandon's favorite is Colin Baker. So, so who's to trust what Brandon has to say? But unfortunately, there was another weekend event, a very large weekend event that we will very quickly cover. It was San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know. Have you caught up on much of San Diego Comic-Con, Brandon? I know you have because we've spoken about it a little bit. Dan, are you caught up on what's happened? David?
I've seen Deadpool.
I was trying to get into the 100. I can't. Sorry.
No. So one of the biggest news and one of the biggest talking points that came out of San Diego Comic-Con was none other than finally Ryan Gosling being revealed as Ghost Rider after many years of lobbying for this, it seems, and he is joined by director Sean Levy, which is a choice. Which is a choice. Yeah, Brandon, I'm going to come to you on this because you are the comic book aficionado, which I'm surprised there's not something behind you. So yeah, what's your thoughts on this?
I have my books behind me because my comics are in the hallways bookcase, and it just wouldn't make a very good background. But all my Doctor Who and stuff's down here.
Nice. Yeah. What do you think of this?
I don't like it. I know he's been lobbying for it for years and everything. I understand that, but it's actually the exact same reasoning I've just said. I'm a bit sick of Marvel casting big names. I think one thing that DC's doing really well with all their movies is most of these actors you're seeing, apart from like say Nathan Fillion, are people you've barely seen in anything. David Corenswet's been in really 2 big projects his entire life, and now he's Superman. Millie Alcock is Supergirl. She was in House of Dragon when she was younger. Like, they can have done a thing. I'm not disagreeing with that, but they're not household names, and I'm loving that we're getting to see these not household names become a household name rather than me see Ryan Gosling do this. Where if it was me, I would have gone with Robbie Reyes, the second Ghost Rider, because he's a lot more interesting.
I think the thing you got to take away with this as well, they announced Mahershala Ali as Blade so many years ago, and he's probably one of the bigger name ones, and they've done nothing with him.
They've done nothing with it. It's gone nowhere.
So yeah, Dan, does this interest you at all, this Ryan Gosling as Ghost Rider? No?
Not particularly, because I don't think Ryan Gosling particularly interests me anyway. It just feels very safe and samey, and I'm with Brandon. I want an unknown or something that's just a little bit different. Heck, I'd bring back Nicolas Cage just for an element of danger to it, element of something of eccentricity. This is just a meh casting.
So also as well, they announced the new Black Panther, David Johnson.
No, I'm all for this.
He
is fantastic in Alien Romulus. If you haven't seen it, it's one of the best films that came out that year, and he is incredible in it. In fact, I left that cinema going, I don't know who he was, but he stole every single scene he's in.
Is it BAFTA winner as well, Rising Star? So he's got a bit of chops as well. So yeah, do you think introducing T'Challa's son now and being like this is the next Black Panther? Do you think that's the clearest path forward when we're coming up to Doomsday and Secret Wars, David? Or would you just don't care? Before I throw it to Brandon,
I really don't care. I mean, I'm not. My daughter would, because she's a massive Marvel fan. And she told me this news, and she was quite excited by it. And so I just went, okay, what makes you happy? I'm happy. So, but I would say, I firmly subscribe to both Brandon and Dan's view that we need some more talent identified to come up the ladder.
Yeah,
if you see what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Brandon, so touching on it then. So what happens with Shuri now then? Does she remain? Is she going to still remain a Black Panther?
really seems to be the end of Secret Wars moment where Marvel is going to do exactly what I think people have been asking them for. It's going to be a soft reboot. It's going to have that we're getting a new universe after this, where some things will be the same and some things will be different. And the last time we seen T'Challa's son, he was quite young. And it feels like once we come back from Secret Wars, things have changed. He maybe died at a different point in life, or he had the kid earlier, or he grew up with the kid maybe. And maybe then he's older by that point. So I don't think I'm fully against it, because we're about to enter a new MCU, the NNCU.
The era of Doom, as we finally saw him up on stage with Daddy Pedro and every other actor in Hollywood, it seems, at this point. So we finally got to hear Doom's voice properly, where it's not on a trailer or behind a mask. So did this panel make you a bit more excited for Doomsday, Brandon? Or are you just still, it's just...
The more excitement I had out of this entire thing was Ryan Reynolds turning up as Deadpool, and I love that he spent that whole con in costume, a lovely jean version of it, in his denim, and he walked around that con. He took pictures with people. He seems to be the actor of all of these that has just got involved with what the fandom is. And as Doctor Who fans, we're used to having our actors of the Doctor get involved with all those fan things, and I think he just absolutely embroils it. I think it was fantastic. And for him to stand up there and everyone who had seen him that day or got a picture with him to go, oh my God, that's Ryan Reynolds. That's your shock moment. That's your twist. That's what should have been Robert Downey Jr. taking that mask off in the middle of the film and us all going, what? In fact, I would have told everyone we'd cast somebody else as Doctor Doom, and then we'll just wait. And we'll do all the interviews, everything. It's all a lie. And revealed up Robert Downey Jr. in the middle of the film. Would have been a moment.
So this is his X-Force outfit, isn't it? This is very reminiscent of his X-Force.
It's reminiscent, but it's not quite. No, he's not got the red eyes, and it's not grey. It's literally just a denim version.
That's so bizarre. Because imagine if we do get X-Force, Deadpool, and Wolverine. Because the leak is that he's fighting a certain Spider-Man in the opening 10 minutes.
Spider-Man.
Hey, Funky just said Avengers Doomsday just sounds like Marvel's version of Crisis on Infinite Earths. If they want Deadpool fighting the Cyberman, I'm all for it. So yeah, so you're not returning. So we saw all the Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four get revealed. Any of you excited for this now after this, or are we just still like don't care for it?
Nah,
Dan,
it's people meeting people.
I will watch it. I'm the sucker for it. They've got me hooked. It doesn't mean I'm going to particularly enjoy it. Well, I will enjoy it, but I'm not. I went to the midnight screenings of Infinity War, etc. I'll be going a few days later, a week later, the next weekend after the first release. It's fine. It'll probably be all right, but can't say I'm particularly ecstatic for it. But maybe I'm not the target audience anymore for this.
No, so I think it's quite an interesting fact as well, Brandon. I don't know if your thoughts on this. So Kevin Feige brought up about Thanos's build-up in the original run, and he said, "Well, it wasn't that much. He appeared on a chair, he shouted at Ronan, and then he just put his hand in the gauntlet." And he compared this to
different Infinity Stones. I'd say that's quite a big build-up.
Yeah. So what is? Yeah, and he's like, well, the Doom one's fine, but it's clearly a reaction to what happened with Kang and Jonathan Majors. But yeah, so do you feel like Doom is earned at this point? Because in my opinion, he should have turned up in
Fantastic
Four. Yeah.
I think again, maybe it's that thing we were talking about already about Doctor Who. I think Galactus was too big. It was too universal ending. That's one of your big villains. Galactus is one of your big villains, but you chucked him in there, and I went, no, you just do it about Doom. You introduce us to his Latveria, to all the things he's interested in, and even you actually could have done the Robert Downey Jr. reveal in that, and that would have been a moment.
I think he was supposed to turn up, wasn't he, in the Black Panther 2, because there was the leaked concept art of Doom with Shuri. So I think, yeah, as much as Kevin Feige is being like, no, this was the plan all along, it's fine, Thanos, I think this is such a misstep. And yeah,
it's a misstep, and all they're really looking forward to is once they get this new rebooted universe, they don't have to worry about it anymore.
No, not at all. And speaking of rebooted universes, What's going to happen to this guy? Is he ever going to come back? Do you think, in my headcanon, he retires and becomes the curator of a certain gallery? But who knows, eh? Yeah, I think it's great. Who knows? Maybe he will come back, or maybe it's just all been a bit of bluff and guster, and it's time for a hard reboot. But that is it. That is the end of Sound and Scope Live. Episode 2. Is it time to reboot Doctor Who? A soft one, yes. A hard one, hard no. If you want to know more about my opinions on a hard reboot of Doctor Who, then visit the video in the description below. And once again, thank you. Once again, I mean, so thanks first originally. So thank you, Mr. Brandon McCaffrey. You will not be joining us next week. You are in the desert, from what I understand.
I'll be in Vegas, I'm afraid.
He is doing a hangover. He is pulling a hangover. So this might be the last time we ever see Brandon. Who knows? Yeah. Mr. David Millen, it's always a pleasure.
Pleasure to be here. He'll be fighting off the Tom Baker fans in Vegas.
Yeah,
I'm there because my friends are going to the Star Trek 60th anniversary convention. I'm just going to Vegas for a holiday, so I'll be surrounded by Trekkies. I'll just have to sit there and be like, "Yes, I've seen Discovery."
Yeah, John and James are trying to get me to watch Star Trek because I've never watched it for my sins. I'm not.
Some of it's good. Some of it is really good. Strange New Worlds is fantastic and very Doctor Who.
I'm not a Trekkie. I can't do it, unfortunately. But Dan, are you a Trekkie?
I'm a bit like you. Like, I haven't watched it, and I'm sure at some point I might do, so I might enjoy it. But no, I haven't. I feel like I've the colours in my master of Doctor Who, and I feel like I got to stick with it now.
Yeah, I'm like that. I'm sticking with it. I'm Scream. I love. You can see the Scream mask behind me. I'm all for that. Yeah, Star Trek is. Oh God, Funky's asking a question. Sorry, we'll do this quickly. Does anyone know the difference between a Trekkie and a Trekker? Serious question, by the way. I don't want to know the answer to this, Funky. I don't. David, do you know this? Before I regret putting this on screen.
There's somebody who has watched Star Trek across the 60 years genre. I have no idea.
There you go. No one knows, Funky. And if you're listening on Spotify, you probably haven't got a clue what's going on, and that is okay. So again, once again, yeah, it's fine. We've done well on Spotify with this. Funky doesn't know himself. He's just asking a question. So there we go. So yeah, once again, thank you guys for coming on and humoring me, and Brandon for taking the heat and saying you don't like Tom Baker. So
yeah,
once
again,
worst Doctor ever. Yeah, worse than the Schalke Doctor. Jeez.
Woo! I don't hear nothing about the Schalke Doctor. Derek Jacobi's first ever outing as the Master. That's stunning.
Reboot it. So reboot it from John Pertwee, but recast him as Sean Pertwee. So nothing from John Pertwee onwards makes sense. That's
Luke
my now. That's
continuing to throw a grenade in the fandom room and leaving before it explodes.
That is, yeah. We recast the Third Doctor, Sean Pertwee, and he wakes up in that shower, and he's like, "Oh, all right," and then we continue from there. We have no Tom Baker, no Peter, no Colin, no Sylve, no big. That's my pitch, David. Are you in? You out?
I would like to see the amount of hate you get for that, but yeah, I'd give it a watch. Of course, I'd give it a watch.
There we go.
You know,
look, we're going to watch a CBB show at one point. Don't act like we're not going to give everything a watch. Let's be honest.
Oh, God,
my children are too old.
Children? I'm 30 and I'm going to be watching it going, right, it's my only content we're getting. I'll watch it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Hooligans will be back for anyone interested. Hooligans will be back this Christmas with The Wilderness Year, which is currently in production, and we got a new cast member joining us with James Dorman as Stephen. So we got Russell, Stephen, Billy, and Jodie. What a way to go away! But that is the end of Sound and Scope Live. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you will catch us next week. Who knows what we're talking about next? It might be Spider-Man. It might be Chris Nolan. Who knows? But don't forget, like, comment, follow, subscribe, give Brandon some hate for his Tom Baker opinion, because that is sacrilege to the Doctor.
And getting rid of the TARDIS as well as a police box.
Oh my God, right.
Yeah.
One of them.
Oh, Brandon, you've just... Yeah, I want to thank you because you're taking the heat off me. But yeah, man, you've thrown some grenades out tonight.
Oh, you know what? It just adds to my little thing I have in the bottom here of like, always has to be different. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, there's being different and being wrong. I'm sorry. Like even my original pitch for Doctor Who, like as a hard reboot, I would get rid of the police box. Ironically, I would, but I'd have it come back in the finale. So the last shot of it would be the police box landing in 1963, and then it turns into the police box, and then it gets stuck. So I'd have one season of it as a working chameleon circuit, and then I would end it with that. So that's a little bit of what I would do with it anyway. But once again, guys, thank you. I've been trying to finish this for 5 minutes, but once again, thank you for your time. Please do go watch Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, because I do want to talk about it with people. And so far, no one can get a ticket, and I can't. So please do watch it and let me know. Brandon, have a good time in Vegas watching Spider-Man, brand new day. And we will see you all this time next week. Ciao.